the struggle. That looks better. Would it be better if I stand? Nah. Nah. I'm gonna make that executive decision of nah. Either way. Yep, my name's Elizabeth, but you can call me Liz, and in today's video, it's been a hot second since I did Let's Talk About Anime. So if you want to see that, keep on watching. But first, let's get it. Guest over!
Mój dans ma grał, więc chodź do tańca, gdy krok to szansa i roznam gra. Mam duszę starca, nie umywalca na
I feel like before I do anything, I start talking or anything. This is your spoilers right here, right now. Because today, I will be talking about a destructive god sits next to me. Honestly, I love this anime. It's such a cute little like slice of life school comedy, but I feel like it has a deeper meaning into it. Now, I may be just like your English teacher that tells you that the blue curtains are blue because the author felt sad and depressed and yada yada, when in reality the author was like, I couldn't think of another color, so the curtains are blue. So I might be a little like your English teacher right now with this, but again, this is just my personal opinion, what I think when I saw this anime and what feelings resonated within me. So yeah, like I said, it's just my opinion. If you think something else, please leave it down below in the comments. And yeah, so today we're gonna be talking about a destructive god sits next to me, aka I don't speak Japanese, so I apologize. Boku no tonari ni Ankoku ha kaishini ga imasu. So this anime aired from actually this year. I think this is like one of the most recent animes that I've done within this whole little series that I've been doing with anime. And it aired from January 11th, 2020 to March 28th, 2020. And it has about 12 episodes, and each episode is about 23 minutes each. So just like any other anime, let's talk about anime that I do. I will talk first about the characters and then about the plot and what I think and what feelings resonated within me. So the characters are, I think Hanadori, aka Miguel, is actually the main character and not Seri, aka Gestover. But that's just my opinion, but like Seri's the actual main character. But I think that Hanadori is the actual main character because everything that Seri does revolves around Hanadori. So the first is Hanadori Kabuto, who is voiced by Sakurai Takahiro, who has been in Bungo Stray Dogs as the rich, the insufferable Francis Scott Key Fitzgerald. So he's the rich guy in Bungo Stray Dogs. So Hanadori basically kind of like lives in his own delusional world. He has the power of Miguel, the god of destruction inside of him. He always wears an eye patch. I, however, couldn't get my hands on an eye patch. Honestly, I was also gonna wear a red eye contact because like Hanadori has a red eye from what we can see. But you know, because of our uninvited guest, Miss Rona, there have been a lot more cases here where I live in Korea, so I was like, not today. So he was also in a band called Deadpool back in the day. And next we have the actual main character, Koyuki Seri, aka Gestover. I think from now on, Seri, I'm gonna call Gestover because that's what Hanadori calls him, and that's what got imprinted into my mind. Sorry, Seri. But he is voiced by Fukuyama Jun, who has been in Assassination Classroom as our beloved Koro Sensei. And like he basically acts like a cat, and his belt acts like a cat tail, and like whenever he's annoyed or angry, he has like cat-like features. He wants to live a peaceful life and doesn't want to deal with any of this shit that's going on. Next we have Tsukimiya Utsugi, who is voiced by Kimura Ryohei, who is our beloved Haikyuu's Fukurodani's ace, aka Black Jackal's probably ace. Right? Black Jackal, Spiker, Bokutaro. And he kind of like reads minds. Like, this dude is God. He reads minds. He messes with Hanadori and Seri. He's the one that first introduced them to each other. He's childhood friends with Hanadori, aka Miguel. Yeah, he's just there for the ride, and he just likes messing with people. And he's God, I think. Next we have Kimiya Hibiki, who is voiced by Yonaga Tsubasa, who I was actually surprised by this, but he was in Free as Nagisa Hasuki. I was like, what? That was surprising to me. And he basically looks up to Hanadori. He thinks like Hanadori is like someone great, that if he is able to be like Hanadori, maybe he too wouldn't mind all the random stares. He carries with him a sight, and he has really bad luck, like really bad luck. And then we have Mogami Kimikage, who is voiced by Tachibana Shinosuke, who is our lovely in Haikyuu, our lovely Nekoma Libero, Yaku Hasuki, Yaku Morisuke. And he is very formal, old-fashioned. He likes to wear like an ogre mask. He is a huge masochist. Like, he wants Seri to like beat him up, and he will love it. And he was childhood friends with Seri. Okay. Obviously, just like any other anime, there's so many more people, but these 5 are our main people that we are going to be talking about today, or that the story revolves around. So, let's get into the plot. I'll start with a tale that involves 2 people, reincarnation, and gods of destruction. So, in the distant past, Miguel, the god of destruction, was sealed inside the night, who ruled over light and darkness, Sturmhurst. Alongside Sturmhurst, another knight fought alongside him called Gestelver. Now, in present day, Destiny has reincarnated Sturmhurst with the power of Miguel and Gestelver into Hanadori, Kabuto, and Kyoki Seri. Now, it's anime, so I feel like we would all believe this, but this is a slice of life comedy, school, Yosei anime. So no magical powers here. Well, kind of. This story is basically kind of like a delusion that Miguel Hanadori has created. Because like the first episode, he bursts into classroom with this little puppy called Cerberus that he found, and he's like, oh my god, oh, the god of Miguel, I'm here, the god of darkness. You have no idea what I have protected you from, boo. This puppy was, back in the day, he was big. He was my companion. And everyone's like, yeah, whatever. We've heard this story all the time. And Hanadori kind of like looks at everyone, and he spots Seri. He's like making crazy eyes at him, and he's like, come on, you like Gestelver, like how can you not remember? You fought alongside me the war a long time ago. And Seri honestly just is done with everyone's bullshit. Like, he just wants to live a normal life. He doesn't want to be part of this. He thinks he's weird. Like, he doesn't want to be friends with him. So that's basically our first meeting. And eventually they start, I want to say hanging out, because Seri really doesn't want to hang out with Hanadori. But eventually, like, the teacher tells Seri that he has to team up with both Hanadori and Tsukimiya, in a little project that they're doing in school. Seri thinks that these 2 are idiots, basically, and that, okay, I have like a 61, obviously. I have a high grade, like these 2 probably have like 40. The losing team had to do some type of thing. I don't remember what, but they had to do some type of punishment, and Seri really didn't want to do that, so he studied hard, and he was like, I got this, like, these 2 idiots don't even know. And then in the end, it turns out that actually Seri is the one that had the lowest grade, and Hanadori went from an 83 to an 85, and Tsukimiya went from 100 to 100, and Seri went from like a 50 to a 60, and he's like, the teacher was like, yes, I told you the bad students would go up. And Seri was so flabbergasted, because he's like, I thought these 2 were idiots. How is it that one gets 100, the other 80, and I'm the one with the lowest grade? So because of that, he kind of like dislikes Hanadori even more, because he's this weirdo that has good grades apparently. And then Tsukimiya is actually the one who introduces Hanadori to Seri back in the day. Eventually, we kind of like follow them, and how Hanadori really does believe that Gestelver is a really nice person, even if he doesn't show it. So he believes he's a really nice person, and he really wants to be friends with him. But Seri ain't having none of his shit. Like, he just wants to live a peaceful life. He wants a girlfriend. He wants that peaceful school life. And if he associates with Hanadori, who like wears all this, says he wears an eye patch, says that if he takes the eye patch, Miguel, the god of destruction, will come and, I don't know, destruct stuff. He thinks that if he hangs out with someone like that his life will not be peaceful. But eventually he kind of starts to like Hanadori, like a tiny bit. And then we meet Kimiya Hibiki, who dresses like a vampire, has bright blue hair, and carries a scythe with him. Now this dude has really bad luck, like really bad luck. Like probability of his bad luck is like 10%. Not even 10%, 5%, 1%. This dude has really bad luck. But he also really wants to make friends with people, and he kind of has like, he's anxious and doesn't want people to look at him differently. And he really looks up to Hanadori because to Hibiki, Hanadori really is someone he can look up to, because this dude is talking about gods of destruction and wears an eye patch and acts like a weirdo, and he doesn't really care what other people think about him. So Hibiki really admires that about him, and he wants to be like Hanadori. And then Hanadori comes up with this story that somehow involves like, oh yes, I was out of destruction. Gestober was also there, but now I remember. You were also there. You were also my fateful like assistant. You were also there a fateful night. And that kind of makes Hibiki kind of happy, because it's like, oh, okay, like I can be friends with you. So he gets added to the friend group. And then eventually, as more stuff progresses, we meet Mogami Kimikage, who, like I said, was childhood friends with Seri when they were in elementary school. They were very young. They did something, and Mogami really admired Seri for this, but then Seri had to move away, and he didn't think much about it. But Mogami thought it was because of his fault that Seri had to go away, because I think it was something embarrassing that they did, and he was like, oh no, I'm such an ogre, like, ugh. I'm such an oni, I'm such a devil. How could I do that to him? Seri was just trying to help me and he left because he was so embarrassed. Like, how could I do that to him? And he basically spent like his whole childhood up until now, I think they're all 16, just trying to atone for his sin back in the day. And he wears an oni mask, and he's really old-fashioned. And then he eventually meets up with Seri, and he's like, holy shit, like you have to punish me, like punish me, Seri. Basically the vibe I get from him, he's a huge ass masochist. Anything that Seri does, Mogami is always there being like, punish me, Seri, like I deserve it. You want to hit someone, hit me. Like that type of vibe. And Hanadori at first is like, excuse me, you weirdo, like Seri's my friend. Mogami's like, oh sure, with your story of Miguel, that's not real. Hanadori gets into it with Mogami. He's like, yeah, well your only story isn't real, my story is real, bitch. And then they eventually all become friends, and they go through ups and downs, and like throughout this whole thing, Seri really just wants to be left alone, bro. Like Seri does not want to be part of your Gestober, your Oni, your bad luck, your mind reading. He really does not want to be here. And he says that he just wants to live a normal life. He wants to have a girlfriend, have a peaceful life, but with like the crazy 4 friends that he has, he can't do that. Utsugi Tsukimiya tells him, if you really want to be so normal, then doesn't that make you like Hanadori, because you're craving for something normal? Maybe that makes you as different as Hanadori is. And you can't really judge him because you're also trying to be normal, which means you're not normal right now. And I really like their teacher in the school, because he kind of tells him, as a teacher, you have to be open to your students, because there can be regular people, but there can also be people like Tsukimiya, like Hibiki, like Hanadori, and like you, Seri. And Seri kind of like in the future, he wants to be a teacher, but he says that if he can't control himself around Hanadori, then he probably won't be a good teacher, because he always kind of has to be like, Hanadori, your shit, what the, like that type of vibe. So he kind of thinks like, oh, if I can't accept Hanadori right now, when I am older, how can I accept my students who are as weird as Hanadori? So I was like, oh, that's kind of really cool for the sensei and like for Seri to think that, because towards the end of the episode, something happens where people are always like bullying Hanadori because of how different he is, and like because he wears an eye patch and he claims that Miguel, the god of darkness, is in the side of him. They always try to take away his eye patch, and finally they do it, and he kind of loses it, but like you can tell he's human, because he punches something and then it starts bleeding, he starts crying. But there's another moment towards the end where they're like preparing to be part of the student council, or there's like an election going on, and Hanadori really wants to win, but he wants Seri to be there with him because, like I said, Hanadori really thinks that Seri is a good person, and that no matter what happens or what Hanadori talks about or anything, Seri's always there being like, yeah, sure, bro, whatever. So he really wants to help him, but Seri like has tried everything and just been like, I don't want to be your friend. Please stop following me around. I don't want to do anything. And Hanadori like really thinks of Seri as his best friend, so this kind of hurts him. And he goes into like a bit of like a shock, and then like people try to take his eye patch away, and then he goes into even more shock. And then when he does wake up, because he faints around the time, when he does wake up, he's a completely different person, and he's normal, and he wears glasses. Seri goes up to him, and he's like, oh my god, are you okay? Like, yada yada, where's your eye patch? And the new Hanadori is like, eye patch? Why would I wear that? Who are you people? Why are you so weird? And that's when Seri kind of realizes, like, he likes Hanadori as he is, as the weirdo that he is, talking about Miguel. He likes it. And, like, when he wasn't able to be with the new Hanadori because he was more straightforward, a more regular person, Seri kind of felt lonely. And then eventually it turned out that Hanadori is back to normal, and Seri was a bit relieved because this is the Hanadori that he knows, and this is the Hanadori that he likes. And so towards the end of the episode, like all five of them, all five friends, Hanadori, Seri, Tsukimiya, Hibiki, and Mogami, they kind of like rent a house and kind of like spend the whole day there and think of like, what are we gonna do after high school? Like, let's all live together in the future. And Seri kind of freaks out because what the heck, like once I get to college, bye bitch kind of feeling. He kind of realizes towards the end, like, life would be boring without Hanadori and without all the crazy antics that he has been going through because of his friends. Not only because of Hanadori, but because of Hibiki, Mogami, and Tsukimiya. He kind of realizes, like, oh, in the future, my life might be a little more lonely, a little more peaceful. And for some reason, it's a bit sad for him. And Tsukimiya tells him, right now, because they're all in high school, right now, you might hate it, but eventually you will be able to love it and you will miss it. Because eventually, like, you don't really know what you're gonna do after high school. Like, some of you may go to college, some of you may go to work, and then you will kind of like reminisce on those things that are happening right now in the now for them. And that's when Seri kind of like is like, yeah, you're right. So even if Seri doesn't like Hanadori, he likes Hanadori, and he eventually is able to be true friends with all of them. Honestly, like, I skipped over a lot of parts because, like, I feel like you really should watch it. Because I feel like as a as a anxious person growing up, I always wanted to fit in and be normal like Seri. So I kind of understand what he's doing, but I also really admired people like Hanadori, Hibiki, even Tsukimiya and Mogami, because they all were true to themselves and they really didn't care about what other people would say. Because, you know, in high school, I really hope it's different right now, but in high school you always like had this feeling, well, I always had this feeling that I wanted to fit in and I wanted to be like with the cool kids and stuff like that, and like I didn't want to stand out as much. But like, I really admire those people that didn't give a fuck about like, I am me, this is how I dress, this is how I look, F you type of thing. And I feel like this anime really does show it. Because I feel like other animes, you have like the regular like, oh, you're so popular, oh, you're so powerful, oh, maybe you were like the runch, but now you're like a hero, I'm looking at you, Deku, or stuff like that. And like, yes, it like their lives can be hard, but I feel like this really shows the other side of that coin, if that makes sense. Because you have the popular people, but then you also have kind of like people like Hanadori who really live into their delusions, and they're like, I am Miguel, the god of destruction, like you don't even know what I had to do, boo-boo, to save the earth. So I really feel like it's like one of those animes where I feel, especially if you're older, you kind of get like this like sense of deja vu and like, oh my god, like, oh, precious children, don't change. I feel like if you're younger, you might be like, ugh, Hanadori is such a weirdo, like I would never kind of like Seti. I would never, like, I don't want him in my life, boo. But like, I think like it does a good way of showing kind of like what it is like being a weirdo in school. And I think it does a good way of showing like, even though you're a weirdo, there are other weirdos out there that you can be friends with, boo. You are not alone. So I feel like that's a really good message that I think this anime sends out to people, that even if you're a weirdo or even if you believe in such delusions, I feel that there are other people out there who will accept you for who you are. They might be a little like, yeah, sure, Miguel, that God of destruction inside of you, but they would still be your friends and they wouldn't bully you. So I really think that's a really good message that I think that this anime sends out to people. But let me know down below in the comments what you think. Like, obviously my personal favorite is Hanadori because he's such a goofball, because he's like, I am the god of destruction, but then he actually, like, someone takes his eye patch and he punches a window and then he starts bleeding, he starts crying because he's like, Seti, get stupid. So I really love Hanadori. Also, like, Tsukimiya is God. Like, there is nothing that you can do to tell me or say that Tsukimiya isn't God. Tsukimiya is God. Creepy. Hibiki is adorable little chibi and Mogami just wants Seti to punch him daddy. Question, what do you think about this anime? Have you ever watched it? Like, I really do recommend this anime because I feel like if you are older, you might get a little sense of deja vu or a little like, oh my god! Like, you remember back in high school, back in middle school, and you were like, oh my god! That type of feeling. So yeah, let me know down below what you think. Definitely I would recommend you watching God of Destruction. I feel like my explanation was a bit weird, but yeah, there's like a lot that goes on, and Seti dies and Mogami is able to see his spirit, which is why I think Seti is God among other things. I mean, Tsukimiya is God among other things. Yeah, there's a lot of shit that happens and Seti is just done with everything. He just wants a peaceful life, boo. Like, give Seti a rest. This bro's gonna have a heart attack one day. Like, legit talking. But yes, that's your question. What do you think is the meaning of destructive God sits next to me? Am I being like your English teacher that's reading too much into it? Maybe, but that is still my opinion. This is what I think. As an anxious child growing up, it really resonated with me into my anxious adultness. Oh my god. But yes. You can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at e_Gomez-Liz. So this is gonna be one of 2 anime videos I'm gonna do. This is the first one, and the next one for next week's video will be Nambaka, so keep tuned for that. You can follow me down below by hitting that subscribe button. Yeah, hit that subscribe button, boo. That subscribe button, not describe, what the heck. By hitting down that subscribe button, I do videos like anime, random shit, life in Korea, ghosts. Halloween is coming up, so I'ma do Halloween month. Halloween week. Yeah, Halloween month, there we go. I was a little confused. So I do 1 video a week, or I try my best to do 1 video a week. Comment, like, subscribe to my channel for more random shit, because that's what I'm here for, folks. And yeah, bye. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me.